G'day everyone, Curtis Waterman from Halco here. Welcome back to another video. Today we're going to be running through some of our best lure options to chase pink snapper. To start off with, I'm going to mention probably our staple MADEYE soft plastic, and that is the paddle prawn. The paddle prawn comes in 4 different sizes, that's 3-inch, 4-inch, 5-inch and 7-inch, but it's going to be mainly the 5-inch and 7-inch that are going to be applicable to chasing pink snapper. Mind you, I will give a mention to the 4-inch paddle prawn, which is this size here. Sometimes when the fish is shut down, going down to that smaller size can do the trick and manage to get you a bite. So honourable mention to the 4-inch, but we're going to stick with mainly the 5-inch and the 7-inch. And this is the 7-inch, it's obviously quite a sizable plastic, and it is that big paddle tail on the end that the snapper really love. And when you're fishing soft plastics, and this one in particular, you can put a lot of action through the rod into the plastic with twitches and lifts and falls, and you get that lure coming up off the bottom and then paddling its way down. But a lot of the time, that sort of stuff isn't super necessary. One of the best ways to fish a lure like this is dead sticking the lure on the bottom. And what that means is literally drop it to the bottom, make sure it's in contact with the bottom or wherever the fish are sitting, and then almost fish it like a bait. Let it sit there and the action of the lure will do its thing, and that is often enough to get a bite. Now this big paddle tail, that'll sit there on the bottom and give it that sort of action, paddle around. You can give it a twitch, but a lot of the time I just sit there, hold my rod, and then you wait to feel the strike from the pinkies, and they absolutely love it. And that's probably my personal favourite pink snapper plastic. They come in 7 colours. Like I mentioned, the 4 sizes, but that 5-inch and 7-inch are the go-to. Heaps of different colours to choose from as well. Fusion Foul is a popular one with the pink and green combination. That we've got Chartreuse. There's Full Glow as well, which is a good one. Great for the deeper water too. They really get cranking when you can charge them up with a bit of UV light as well. We've got blues, and there's the orange, and then the pearl as well, which is always a favourite, and this one's probably my favourite as well, not just for snapper but for big jewfish and other things as well. So yeah, 7 different colours, and that 5-inch and 7-inch size are going to be the go-to for pink snapper. The next lure I want to mention is a little bit different to your traditional snapper lures. It's actually a diving lure. Now this is a Scorpion 150 meaning 150 mils long, and they come in a couple of different bib options, different depths, but it's going to be this crazy deep that is going to be the main go-to for the pink snapper. And this crazy deep bib dives to 8 metres. There's also the deep diver option, which dives to 5 metres. But like I said, it's going to be that deeper option. Most of the time, you know, your snapper are going to be sitting in deeper water. It's that deeper option that will be probably your best choice. Now these are a great lure for kayak fishermen. A lot of the kayak fishermen in Fremantle and around where we are use these lures to chase snapper around the rock walls in shallower water, because you control them really slowly and still get a fair bit of action out of them. Now one point that is definitely worth considering with this Scorpion 150 and the crazy deep bib is your leader choice makes a big difference to how deep this lure will swim. Now when you're chasing snapper, often depth is a really key factor, and you want to usually get this lure down as far and as close to the fish as possible. So choosing the right leader can be the difference between catching a fish and not catching a fish. What I mean by that is thicker and longer leaders drag through the water. So when that lure is swimming down, if that leader is quite thick, it'll drag through the water, and it'll actually sometimes head backwards and then up to your rod. If you manage to get down to a thinner leader and a shorter leader, you'll get less drag through the water, and it'll improve the action of the lure a little bit, and you'll get it down a little bit deeper. So try and run as light a leader as possible. You obviously don't want to go too light and end up just getting busted off and losing heaps of lures and fish, but try and go as light and as short as possible. The RMG Scorpion in this size comes in 17 different colours, so big colour range. You could find just about anything you could imagine, I would say, and definitely everything you would need to chase a pink snapper, between bright colours, natural colours, and like I mentioned, both the 8 metre bib, which is the XDD, the crazy deep, and also the 5 metre bib, which is the DD, just the deep diver. Between those two, you should have a really good chance at getting into a snapper. The last lure I want to mention today is our whiptail jig. So this is like a traditional bucktail leadhead jig, and these are, you know, a lot of the old school guys will rate these really highly. People who have only sort of come into lure fishing recently probably would look at something like this and laugh, but the numbers don't lie when it comes to whiptail jigs. I've seen these things in action, and all bucktail jigs for that matter, they are an absolute killer option, especially with the snapper. Now our whiptail jigs, they come in 2 different sizes. So this is our 60-gram model, so that big 60-gram head for deeper water, and then there's also the 10-gram model as well. Now they've got a little rattle in there. You would probably can't see that too well from here, but there's a little rattle in there, so they've got a bit of noise going on. And there's also 2 different sections. So we've got this first section here with that fluff coming off the main jig head there, and then a bit of line there to the tail here as well. And that gets a really nice bait fish sort of profile when that gets wet. It doesn't stay all fluffy like that. It looks really good in the water. These come in 6 colors as well. There's like a combination of red and yellow. There's red and white, white, green, blue, yellow. One thing I wanted to mention about this one here, the bigger one, on this tail tuft, there's actually a bit of wire in between here as well. The smaller one uses mono, but there's wire in between here, so not so much applicable for snapper, but for things like mackerel and that, that have a few teeth in there, that wire can be really handy. And it's actually got a stinger hook on the back here as well, so if the fish manages to grab that tail, you're not going to miss the hook up. There's a tiny little hook in there, which sometimes makes a big difference. And the other thing is, when this hook might be in the fish's mouth and it's moving around, sometimes you can pin the fish in the side of the face or whatever with the back hook, and it just gives you an extra hook in the fish and lowers your chance of pulling the hook. So that is our whiptail jig, another great option for pink snapper. Now I wanted to make a couple of honourable mentions for some accessories that we also do for your lures that can make a big difference when you're snapper fishing. Now one is this OCTOSKIRT for the MADEYEs. Now the way that you fish these, they're like a little octopus looking skirt thing, and you actually whack them on the front of your jig head. So this jig head's probably a bit small for snapper, but just for the purpose of showing you how it works, whack that on there, push it right to the front, and that'll sit back there like that. And then when you get your soft plastic, you whack that on next, push that on, and it just gives that plastic, you've obviously got that paddle tail working at the back, but it just gives that plastic a bit more action up the front. Those legs of that OCTOSKIRT will flail around in the water and do all sorts of funky things and look really good. And sometimes that adding a bit of flash can get the fish to bite as well. And these come in a bunch of different colors too. There's glow and other bits and pieces, yellow and the purple, the June bug like I've got here. So adding that OCTOSKIRT on can be a really good option as well. And the other one is our catch scent. Now this stuff is greatly underrated. I think I was always personally pretty skeptical of things like catch scent, but I've seen this work. It's unbelievable. Sometimes those shutdown bites, like you can see fish on the sounder and you just can't get them to bite anything. Whack a fair bit of this stuff on your plastic, and the nozzle on this is really good for applying. Like it's slanted, so you can sort of squeeze the scent out and apply it to your plastic as well, and just put it all over that soft plastic and whack it down, and it is unbelievable the results. Sometimes it can just switch like that, and you go from not catching anything to catching fish. I've seen it happen. So that saltwater catch scent, definitely give that a go. And that applies to all sorts of lure fishing, not just snapper, but brim fishing as well. Whack it on your soft plastics, give it a crack, because it can definitely make a big difference. So there we have it, guys. That's a few of our best options for chasing pink snapper. Now, if you've enjoyed today's video, make sure to whack that subscribe button. You won't miss any other videos like this one. Give it a like too if you enjoyed it. Make sure to follow us on the socials, Halco Tackle on Instagram, Halco Tackle on Facebook, and Halco Tackle on YouTube. Thank you for watching, guys. We'll see you next time.